So now moving forward, we will now look at tuples and sets. Okay, so these are the other data structures that we had seen. So creating tuple is very similar to that of list. Only difference is that you will now use the parenthesis instead of the square brackets, right? So here is our tuple created. You can check the type, you can check the length. And now just try to execute this line of code where we are, we are trying to change the value 1 to 100. Run this and you will see that you will get an error. Why? Because remember, in tuple, we cannot change a tuple, we cannot modify it once it is created. So that's why we are getting this error. So Python will not allow you to change the values which are present inside a tuple. Okay. And other than that, all the other things remain same, just like what we have in list. So you can have the mixed tuple, and you can, in a similar way, you can use the indexing like what we had seen in the list in order to index out a tuple also, right? So just see all of these afterwards, like one by one, because this is the same stuff that we had seen in the list, right? So all of these you can also slice similar to the way which we had done in the list. So everything remains the same. Only difference is that you cannot change, you cannot add any values, you cannot delete any values in a tuple. Okay. So now let's go to sets. Now we had looked at this set function previously also, right? Where we were trying to convert a list into a set. So you can, so here also we are doing the same thing. Okay, so we are passing our list. So this is the list of numbers that we have. Again, this we have enclosed in the square bracket, signifying that this is a list. Okay, so we are passing this list inside the function set in order to create a set. So sets are unordered collection of unique elements, right? So here, so run this and you will see that all the duplicate values are gone. Okay. So 2 was present 2 times, but now in the output we have only 2 1 times. 5 was also present thrice, but in the output we have only once. So only the unique elements are are stored in a set, right? So similarly, you can add new element in a set using the add function. So let's say you want to add 50 as an element in your set. So you can do this by using dot add function and passing the value that you want to add. So here you will see that 50 has been added to your list. And we had also talked about the operations on sets, that is the intersection and union. So now we will look at that. Okay, so here we have two sets, set A and set B. And there are some values which are present in both these sets, right? Now we are going to look at the intersection. So what is meant by intersection? Intersection is the common elements which are present between the two sets. Only the values which are present in both of these sets will be given as an output when we use the intersection function, right? So here we want to have the intersect of set A with set B. So here is a syntax for that: set A dot intersection set B, right? So run this and you will see that only the common elements between these two sets have been given as an output. So 2 is present in both the sets, 4 is also present, 6, 8 and 10. So all these elements are present in both the sets. That's why we are getting the output as these numbers, right? And then the union. So what is meant by union? Union is nothing but the total unique elements which are present in both the sets. Okay, so the repeating elements won't be won't be considered twice as in the output for this function, right? So here we had seen that 2 is present in both the sets, but in the output you will see, let us run this and see. So here you will see that 2 is present only once, right? So only the unique elements which are present between the two sets, only those elements we get as an output when we use the union function. So this is the similar way, similar functions that we were doing back in school using the Venn diagrams, right? So this is the same thing that we can do in Python. Okay, so any questions in data structures? We have completed the data structures now. So any questions, please feel free to ask now. No questions? Anybody else?
Okay, Jennifer has a point.
I tried to add new value to dictionary. Okay. Okay, you couldn't. Like, were you trying to modify the value of an existing key, or you were trying to create a new key value pair?
I tried to create a new value. I just used that category lookup. Is that the way we should do it?
Just a minute, I'll share my screen back. Right. So did you try to create a new pair like this?
Yes. Instead of numerical value, I wanted to assign string value.
Okay. So did you enclose that in the inverted commas?
Yes, I did. I enclosed it in inverted commas. Should we put another square bracket there or no? No need to.
No. If you want to add only one value, then need not do that.
Okay.
See,
But still, it's printing the old. If I try to look at my dictionary, it's just printing the old values, but not the new one.
So old value like.
Like we created a dictionary, right? Name, age, gender, and B score.
Yeah.
I just want to add, say, qualification to it, say, masters to the qualification. So,
okay. So
can
you can do it in
execute
the
that and
same
show?
way. Okay. So let's say I want to add, your qualification in this.
No, it's okay. This should be okay. But
yeah. Let us add something new.
Okay, after adding this, to see if it is added, what should I do?
Just print out, no? Just type your dictionary name and then just run it.
Is this right? See, if I say category underscore lookup in square bracket, within inverted commas, I have given qualification, and equal to, again, inverted commas, I have put masters. Uh,
right?
so this is right. So I'm running it.
Yeah. And then again, rerun your or print your list or your dictionary. Sorry. See, it is getting added.
Hmm. I don't know. It's just giving the same answer to me. Why? Maybe I'm doing somewhere some mistake.
Just check the syntax.
Okay.
Maybe
Okay. No problem.
there is a mistake that you'll be doing.
Okay.
Okay. So is there any other question anybody is having? If not, now we are going to start another topic, which is the conditional statements. So no questions? Okay. So let us begin the conditional statements. So why are conditional statements used? Okay. So when we want to give a certain kind of flow to our program, we use conditional statements. So what is a conditional statement? Like depending on certain condition, you want to execute or you want to decide whether or not to execute that piece of code. So for example, let us see this example over here, this illustration, that this person is telling to take maybe this is his mother or something. So she's telling him to take an umbrella, but this boy, he is deciding that if only if it is raining I will take the umbrella, else no. So the action of taking umbrella will be executed depending whether or not it will rain or not. Okay. So here our condition is the raining. So based on this condition, if it is true, only then he will execute his task of taking the umbrella. Okay. So in our code also, whenever we want to have we have such conditions based on what we want to execute a certain block of code, we will be using the conditional statements. Okay. So it is like if this condition is true, then we will execute this code. Okay, or something like that. We will see in details about how all of this works. But basically we have three condition statements that we use. So first one is the if, second one is if else, and the third one is if else. Okay, so three types of conditional statements. We will look at each one of them one by one. So let us look at the simple if, like only one condition when we have, we can use the if statement. So this is the syntax for the conditional statement. That is a simple if statement. So inside this parenthesis, you should mention what is your condition, like, right? For the last example, we had seen that whether or not it is raining. So this is our condition, so that should be uh, coming inside this square bracket, right? And this condition should be boolean in nature. So what is meant by boolean? So like true or false, either it should be true or false. That is the output of that condition should be true or false, only two values, right? So that condition should be boolean in nature. Okay. And then we will use colon after this. I mean, this is a syntax. like how it is done in Python, right? And after that, after mentioning the condition, you will then give the give the statement block, like this is the code that you want to execute if this condition is true. Okay, and always remember that you need to give space, like it should be indented. Your statement block should be indented, right? So here is an example that if marks is greater than 50, then print student has passed the exam. So this is the criteria, that marks should be greater than 50. This is the condition. And only if this is true, then we will print this statement, or we will print, or we will execute this piece of code. Okay, it is something like this if statement. Okay, any questions? Okay, now the second type of conditional statement is the if else statement, right? So now previously we had seen only the if statement, like if this condition is true, then you should execute certain piece of code. But what if that condition is not true? Then what should Python do? That we specify using the if else statement. So here you can see the flow chart. So this is the condition that we provide, okay? And if this condition is true, then this code will be executed. And if it is not true, if this condition is false, then this code will be executed. For so example could be that if it is snowing, then you will wear the boots, and if it is not snowing, then you will wear sneakers. It is something like that, that if the snowing condition is true, then this task will take place, and if it is not true, then this will take place. Okay, so this is the if else statement. We will see the syntax separately in the Jupyter notebook, but try to understand the concept over here, that why are we using if else, or why are we using if? Okay, any questions? Okay, no questions. Okay, let's move on. Now the third type of conditional statement is the if else statement. So now previously we had seen that only one condition we were testing, right? Whether it is snowing or not, whether it is raining or not. So only one condition, and based on that we were deciding that which code should we execute. But what if we have more than one condition? In that case, we should use if, elif, and else statement, right? So here you can see that, so here is our condition 1, okay? So if this is true, then this will be executed, okay? If it is false, then we will test for another condition, okay? So another condition will be tested inside the if, elif, and then if that is true, then the code associated with that will be executed. Otherwise, by default, this code will be executed. Okay, so remember that whenever we want to test multiple conditions, so we will use then if, elif, else statement, right? Any questions? Any questions on if, elif, else as a concept? Okay. Okay. So let us move to our next thing, which is a nested if. So nested if is nothing but the if else condition only, but within one bigger if condition. So let us understand this using this flowchart. Okay, so here is our first if condition. Okay, now if this condition is met, then we will test another if condition. So you see that if that nested if condition is one if condition inside another if condition. Are you able to see this? This if condition is inside this if condition. That only if this if condition is true, then we are testing another if condition. Are you able to understand this? Okay. Right? So here is our condition 1. And if this is true, then we will have another condition statement inside this condition. So this is the nested if condition. So you can have only if condition or if elif or if else or anything. You can have anything nested inside one if condition. Okay. So we will look at the syntax and everything using now the Jupyter Notebook. But the concept wise, is it clear? Like where do we use the conditional statements? Where should we use the if? Where should we use if else? If elif else? Is that clear? Waiting for a few more people to confirm that. Okay. Okay. So now let us move on to our Jupyter Notebook. So you can also open this condition statements Jupyter Notebook, which was provided to you. And we will look together. I'm just waiting for a few moments for you to open it up.
Just once you open it, put it across in the chat that you're ready. Use the word ready to give us an indication that we can start. Okay, Jennifer is ready. Very good. Nandu, yes. Others? Five more ready, we will start. 3 more we got. Ready? Yes, Aditi, we can start, yes.
Okay, okay. So now let us look at the simple if statement, right? So now let's say that we have marks is equal to 80. So marks is nothing but an object that we are creating, and we are assigning that variable or that object as 80. Okay. Now here we will use our if statement. We will check if this marks is greater than 50. If it is greater than 50, only then we will declare the result that the student has passed the exam. So consider this 50 to be a passing criteria. Okay. So anything, if you are securing marks greater than 50, only then you are passing the exam. Okay. Something like that. So this is the statement, or this is the syntax for the if statement. So your condition should be inside the parenthesis, and then after your condition you have written, you should use the colon. Okay. And then you should leave a space after, I mean in the next line you should leave a space. That is your line of code which you want to execute when this condition is true should be indented. So by indentation, I mean that you should leave this space over here. That you can do by just using tab. Okay, from your keyboard, you can press the tab key to get the space. So in this way, we have to indent our piece of code, which is inside this if statement. So Python will understand that, okay, since you have indented your piece of code, this means that this piece of code belongs to this block, okay, inside the if statement. Now run this and you will see that this is getting printed since 80 is greater than 50. Okay, so remember I was talking about the Boolean kind of the result that your condition should have. So here is the Boolean kind of nature. You can see that marks greater than 50. Now 80 is greater than 50. Hence, it is true, right? 80 is greater than 50. So now this condition is returning a true value, right? Since 80 is greater than 50. But had this been false, then this won't have been executed. Okay. Are we clear on this? Okay. Right. So if condition is used when you have when you just want to execute something when that condition is true. But many a time you would also want to do something in case that condition is not true. So that we can do that by using the if else statement, right? So this is our same example. That here we are saying that if marks are lesser than 50, then we should print out that the student has failed the exam. But if this is false, okay, if this is false, then what should the Python do? Python then should execute this piece of code, right? So that we specify using the else keyword. So else. So here again, you should provide the indentation so that it is understood by Python that this piece of code belongs to the else keyword or the else block, right? So run this and see, you will get again, the student has passed the exam. Now let us change our value of marks. And let us say we assign it to 20. Okay. And now run the code. You will get output as student has failed the exam. Why? Because 20 is less than 50, right? This means that this condition is now true. And since this condition is true, this block will be executed and not this block, right? Earlier we had 80 as the value for marks. So when the value was 80, then this condition was not true, right? So 80 lesser than 50 is not true. So hence this block will not be executed. And since this block is not executed, then this will be executed. It is like that. Okay. Any questions? Okay. So let's move forward. Then we have the if elif else statement. So when so we use if elif else statement when we want to test more than one conditions, right? Just like what we discussed. So here we have let's say two numbers, and we want to check the relationship between the two numbers. That is whether A is greater than B or B is greater than A, or if both of them are equal. We want to test that. Okay. So we will use, so you see there are multiple conditions over here which we want to test, whether B is greater than A or A and B are equal. So we want to test it, right? So hence here we will use the elif condition. Now let's say first we are checking the condition if B is greater than A. Okay. Now if this is true, if B is actually greater than A, then this will be printed. That is, B is greater than A. If this is not true, then we will check for another condition. That is whether A and B are equal. Okay. If this is true, then this line will be printed, or this piece of code will be executed. Okay. And if even this is not true, even if this condition is not true, then finally this statement or this piece of code will be executed, right? So run this and see what is the output that you are getting. So we are getting A is greater than B, right? Why it is so? Let us understand how is this working. So we have B as 33 and A as 200. Now in the first condition, it will check whether B is greater than A. So is this condition met over here? Is B actually greater than A? No, right? Because 33 is not greater than 200. So this piece of code will not be executed. Then it will check, then it will move on to the next condition, that it will check if A is equal to B. Remember, the double equal to sign is used to check the equality, right? So it will here now check if A and B are equal. Now again, this is not true because 200 is not equal to 33. Again, this piece of code will not be executed. Then finally, this one will be executed. Hence, we are getting the output as this, like A is greater than B. This will be printed, right? Now, now rather than we specifying the values of A and B, we can also have our user to specify those values. So that we can do by using this input function. Okay, so by input function, we can keep changing the values of A and B, and then we can run this and see. Like run our conditional statement and see. So let us run this, and you will see that now Python will ask you for the numbers, and like enter the first number, and that it will save as A. Okay. So let us say I am entering my first number as 50. Now the value of A is now 50. And then it will ask me enter the second number, because see here we have written this piece of code. Okay, then let's say that my value of B I want as 100. Now 100 will be saved as B, and then it will again go on inside this if statement and all, and it will check for all the conditions, and then in the first condition only it will find that B is greater than A, because now what is the value of B? 100, right? And value of A is 50. So B is greater than 100, and this is true. Hence it will print this line, or it will execute this piece of code. Okay, now let us run this again and change the values of A and B. Let's say now I want to have my first number as 50 and second number is also 50. Then see, it will give you the output as A and B are equal. Because here it will check if A and B are equal and this condition will be true. And since this is true, the code associated with that block, that is elif block, will be executed. So A and B are equal, this statement will be executed. Okay, you can check for other numbers also, and you can get the result. Okay, any doubt? Any questions? No questions? Okay. Okay. Now here I have again written a code which will, with this I am trying to get the sum of the marks which a person has scored in mathematics and English. But it should do that before checking if the marks entered are valid or not. That is, let's say that our maximum marks, that is the total marks that one could get is 50. And what if the user has entered 100 as the input value? So in that case, it is invalid, right? So we should check for that also, right? So I have used that code over here. So first, using this and this line of code, I am actually entering the values for maths and English from the user, right? And by using this condition, I'm checking if the maths marks are greater than 100 or not. If it is greater than 100, greater than 50, then this is actually invalid, right? Because our total marks are 50 and nobody can get marks which are greater than the maximum marks, right? So the question paper is for 50 and no one can get marks as 51 or 52, correct? So I'm checking that condition over here. Okay, so first I will check for the marks in mathematics if they are greater than 50. If this condition is true, then I will print out that please check the marks for math subject. You have entered it incorrectly, right? Because the marks of mathematics should not be greater than 50. Similarly, for the English marks also, I will do the same. I will check if those are greater than 50. If that marks are greater than 50, then again it is invalid, right? And if both this condition are not met, what it actually means that both the marks for the subjects entered are valid. Okay, and if it is valid, then we want to have the sum of both these marks. So in the else statement, I'm writing marks I'm going to print out this line that marks entered are valid and the total score is, and for the total score I will compute my total score as marks of mathematics plus marks of English. Okay, so run this and see. Now let us enter some marks. Let's say I have secured 45 in mathematics and let's say 44 in English. Okay, now see, 45 and 44 both are lesser than 50, correct? This means that this condition and this condition are not true. Hence, both lines of code will not be executed, and finally this line will be executed. So in this line, we are printing this statement and also we are printing the total of both of these marks, which is 89. Okay, now let us see if we enter some invalid marks. Okay, so let's say I am entering the mathematics marks as 51 and English marks as let's say 45. So see here. Here I'm getting the output as please check the marks for mathematics subjects. So that means that this line of code is executed. Why it is executed? Because 51 is greater than 50. So this condition is met over here. And that's why this piece of code is executed. Correct? So this is how the if else statements work, right? And then let us go to the nested if condition. So here you have seen that I have used the if elif condition, but I can do the same using the nested if. Okay, so this is my first if and else a conditional statement. Okay, and here you can see inside the else I'm using another if else. So this is the nested if else, correct? It will work in the similar way. Okay, so now the current marks of mathematics and English are 51 and 45. Hence, it is using the same values of marks, maths and marks English over here. And we are getting the same output, that please check the marks for mathematics subject. So this is the same way it is working. But here, instead of using the if, elif, else, we are using the if else nested if else. Okay, this if else block is nested inside this if else block, right? So in this way you can use the nested if else conditions also. Again, notice here that since this nested if else, this block is a part of this else block, hence we are using indentation here. We are leaving out space over here, correct? And again, this statement is a part of this if. Hence here again, additional, we are using additional tab. Okay, so here if you see, I'm using tab twice, correct? This will tell the Python that this piece of code is actually belonging to this if block, right? So that's all for the conditional statements. Any questions, please? You can shoot it now. Any questions, anyone? If not, there is one exercise that you have to do next. Okay, so no questions. Everything is clear. Okay. Now I will explain you the assignment that you'll be having. So this you have to try it out by yourself and come back to us in the next session. Okay, or we can also communicate using our WhatsApp group, whether or not you were able to do this. So I will explain you what is this assignment all about. So you have to write a program to first input the values of the sides of a triangle, right? So you will input.
I'm just checking out what my intern is saying because she's completing the notebook. We are teaching Python for one of the colleges.
Sir.
No.
Okay. Yeah. So so this
Hey,
is.
sorry, Aditi, I unmuted myself. My bad.
Yeah, no problem, sir. Yeah. Okay, so this is the assignment, right? So first you will input the sides of the square, sides of the triangle using the using this method that we have used, right? Input method. So you will be inputting the sides of the triangle. Okay, so we know that we have three sides of the triangle. So you will input three values, okay, and save it to ABC, okay, or any name that you want to give, XYZ or anything, side 1, side 2, side 3, anything you can give, okay. And once those values you have inputted, then you have to determine whether that triangle is isosceles, equilateral, or scalene triangle, right? So equilateral triangle is when all the sides are equal, okay? Then that triangle is said to be equilateral. Isosceles is when any two sides are equal, and scalene is when none of the sides are equal to each other, right? So you have to test this. And even before doing that, you have to test whether the side the length of the sides that you have provided is actually creating or is actually forming a triangle or not. Okay, so this is the property of the triangle, that that the summation of any two sides should be greater than the third side. Only then a triangle is formed, right? We have learned this back in school. So, so these are the conditions that you will be using in order to create a program to determine whether the triangle, whether the sides that you have entered for the triangle is an isosceles triangle, equilateral, or scalene. Correct? So is this assignment clear to you? That what you have to do?